double beard. Hope everyone is well, and I hope everyone's having a great week. Alright then. What I see here is nothing is Islamistic at all whatsoever. Absolute waffle, absolute pure fear-mongering.
In a terrible, terrible state, and all of the Western governments are complicit in killing babies, killing mums, killing families, and it has to stop.
Today's importance is about Palestine, spreading the word and love of peace, making sure the Palestinians don't keep getting killed every single day for nothing.
Let's check out this Islamist who's about to take the podium, right?
It's a moral cry. This is not about politics. For if you are not shaken to your core by the brutal killing of more than 12,000
Does that seem like an Islamist to you?
precious Palestinian children, it is on you. There is nothing we can do to help you.
Well, first, we can't fail the people who are resilient and who are still holding steadfast in Gaza. We have to continue doing this in London and around the world. It's our moral obligation to continue to call for a ceasefire.
This is the 14th national demonstration, and there's going to be as many more as it takes until there is a ceasefire, until there is justice for the Palestinian people.
On Wednesday, there's a vote in the UK Parliament calling for a ceasefire. I'll be signing and supporting that motion when it's tabled on Monday afternoon. But as we speak, literally now, this moment, there are 1 million people in Rafah terrified that bombing will start.
And it did. That bombing has started. Yeah, that bombing has started, and it is continued and continued and continued. This goes on. Look at this, look. Look at all these Islamists.
Boycott movement. We are no longer purchasing from major corporations until we see them take a strong line on this issue. And that means we're encouraging people to now shop local, to shop ethical, and to shop independent. Support local businesses, support Palestine, return power to the people.
Myself personally, as touching as it is to see the solidarity of my fellow countrymen of all shades of colour and religions to come together in the face of oppression towards a people on the other side of the world is heartwarming. But at the same time, it's sad, because sadly this will not achieve anything. It's not going to achieve anything. We had the biggest protest that ever took place in the history of this country was in 2003 in London, the anti-war protest, where close to 1 million people turned up. 250 plus coaches and buses from all towns all over the country swarmed into London. Well, from all over England and Wales, with 100 coming from Wales alone, came to London to protest against the imminent war in Iraq. Where they told the government, this is not what we want. We do not want this. We do not support this. We need to stay away from this. 50,000 more in Scotland. And what happened? It wasn't just even in London or in the UK. All around the world, these protests were taking place on the exact same day. And what happened? Totally ignored. This is how you know that there's nothing democratic about this country. Where was listening to the people? Where was listening to your constituents, and where was listening to your voters and things like that? So why is it going to make any difference now? It just goes to show that this should be working. Every single weekend they have these protests where hundreds of thousands of people are turning up, begging this country, stop supporting Israel. Stop sending them weapons. Demand a ceasefire now. And the UK politicians said, you're just Islamists, and you know, we're sick of this. We need to get the police down here, and the police need to come here, and they need to deal with these Islamist protesters now. And then when the protesters, like he said, that was the 14th protest. There's probably been 15, 16, 17 protests now since then. So I don't know how old this video is. And then they wonder why, when they're walking down the street by themselves without security, they get heckled by some of the extremists, and I'm talking about Islamist extremists, just general extremists who are sick and tired of being ignored, and they just want to take matters into their own hands, or they want to force their views or force their opinions upon the politicians, and when they get ignored, then they react and they get violent. I'm not justifying it, but it's what happens. That's what's been happening. You keep ignoring them, then it's going to keep on happening. So their answer is make a big thing about, oh, we need to spend so many millions on security for politicians. Well, you know, when you play with fire, you're going to get burnt. Basically, simple as that. You ignore the people that voted you in, you're going to get eventually some kind of repercussions coming back on you, especially when your decisions as a politician and your complete arrogance, ignoring the people that have voted you in, is leading to the deaths of 30,000 plus people, civilians. I don't think there is even 30,000 members of Hamas, but 30,000 plus people are dead, with 15,000 of those being children. And the numbers every single day are climbing by the hundreds and the hundreds and the hundreds every single day. And you keep on ignoring people, then there's going to be some kind of repercussions. I'm not justifying it, and I'm not saying it is right whatsoever. Politicians should be able to do their jobs without fear of violence. I totally agree with that. But politicians also need to do their job by listening to their people. And you don't. You didn't in 2003. You haven't done it when things like this have happened over the past few years with Palestine, and you're not doing it now. So anyway, in response to all of this Islamist protest that we just had a quick analysis of, Braverman, Lee Anderson is convinced that the Islamists are taking over, and that Khan has handed London, my town, my city, over to the Islamists. With respect, I'm not anyone special. I'm not a hard man. You know, I don't walk out on the street thinking that I'm invincible. But I do walk through the streets of Tottenham on a regular basis, late at night. I have a very close friend who lives on Broadwater Farm, and anyone from London has heard of Broadwater Farm. Anyone from the UK has heard of Broadwater Farm. It's what triggered off the riots in the 1980s when the police allowed the death of Cynthia Jarrett, and then once again when the police intentionally unalived Mark Duggan. It triggered off the second riots. Broadwater Farm is known. It's known as a no-go zone, as they say. I walk through the streets of Broadwater Farm on a regular basis, early hours in the morning. Not once has anything ever happened to me. And I'm not saying it can't, but I'm just saying it's not how they make it out to be. Myself, I'm a Muslim convert. I don't always go out dressed as a Muslim. If you used to see me walk in the streets, you would never, apart from my beard, you would more than likely never guess that I was a Muslim, unless you was another Muslim who recognized me. And I walk through these no-go zones. I've got children who live in Tower Hamlets. I walk through the streets of Tower Hamlets. I walk through the streets of Shepherd's Bush. I walk through the streets of Acton. These so-called no-go zones where non-Muslims can't walk around the streets safely. Walk through those streets all the time. Not once have I ever had to tell anyone, oh, listen, allow me because I'm a Muslim, I'm one of you guys. Waffle. Pure. I can't speak for the towns up north, but I can certainly speak for London. Absolute waffle. You go on the streets of London on the weekend, all you're going to see in the night time is people partying, clubbing, drinking, raving it down, getting up to all kinds of madness on the streets. London is a wild party town on the weekends. Does that sound like it's in a grip of Islamists? Lee Anderson on the weekend, when he posted these, when he made these statements that London is in a grip of Islamists, at the same time he's tweeting pictures of him out on the streets of London drinking a beer. How can you consume alcohol in a city that is controlled by Islamists? Chatting out your backside. And for these channels, these these right-wing channels, GB News and what's it, Live TV and these kind of channels who the presenters get screwed up in the face, and they get enraged and angry when they speak about the Islamists that are taking over London. When James Whale is standing up and he's threatening a fellow Englishman because he dares to wear the Palestinian scarf and speaks out against the genocide that's taking place.
The government are holding
They haven't got any money. The government have not got any money.
They've got plenty of money for wars. They've got plenty of money to give Ukraine. They've got plenty of money to give Israel. They could sell an arms to Israel. There you are.
Stupid, Steve. Are you completely nuts? Well, I mean, you come in here dressed in a scarf with a.
It's a Palestinian scarf.
Do you actually really support the Palestinians?
Absolutely.
You think that's a really
What about Hamas? What about Hamas?
I defend the Palestinians' right to defend themselves.
Yeah.
Do you say Hamas it was a resistance?
Sorry, I believe the Israeli government are a fascist government. I believe the Israeli government are a terrorist government.
Hang on.
I know you want to hit me.
I'm not going to hit you,
No,
James.
you're not. You're absolutely right.
Not at all. Not at
You
all.
quite Hamas with Israel.
You're a silly little man.
Well,
You're a silly little man.
as much
A
as you
genocide enabler. A genocide enabler,
You
James.
talk crap. That's
You're
all
a
you can
genocide
spout.
enablers.
All you can spout is that crap, isn't it? Genocide
Free
and that.
Palestine.
From the river to the sea. Genocide.
It is a genocide. The ICJ, the International Courts of Justice, have said that potentially there is a genocide taking place right now. But then when politicians like Kate Ozema refers to it as a genocide, she gets the sack. You get other politicians such as Azhar Ali and Graham Johns, when they make statements against Israel, whether those statements were right or not, whether they was correct in those statements or not, they made statements against Israel, not against Jews, against Israel. And they get sacked and fired for anti-Semitic statements, to the point that the Jewish Labour movement says with regards to the sacking of Graham Jones, and I quote, his statements are appalling and unacceptable, and importance of zero tolerance approach to anti-Semitism has become clearer than ever, since when they're speaking out against a political entity, become anti-anything religious. Anti-Zionism is not anti-Semitism.